Welcome back to the frog bath. Spring is well underway. String algae season is here, and we finally had a lily make it to the top of the pond. A lot of people think of summer with its hot weather as the season for evaporation, but in our pond, spring is evaporation season. Like right when kind of maple syrup season ends here in the Northeast, up through when the summer kind of torrential rain showers begin, we get tons of evaporation. And the reason is, like, in those light spring rains, your pond is not really getting filled back up. But on those dry, windy days, your pond is losing tons and tons of water as the wind blows across the top of it. And things like dry air is just sucking the moisture out of your pond. So one way that you can start to tell whether or not you have a leak is to check on a day where it's not super windy and it's not super bright. That evening, make a mark on a rock or something you have on your pond and check it in the morning. When we had a leak, we were losing 2 inches even overnight with no wind. And that's how we knew something wasn't quite right. A lot of people worry that they might have a hole in their liner. But what it turned out to be was something much, much trickier to figure out. It's what I've heard referred to as a wicking leak. So, not WikiLeaks, a wicking leak. Let's take a look at what that can be. So I've just dug this fold up in our bog area. So usually this would be all covered in gravel. You can see, like, there's just a natural fold in the liner here. And this is all dry inside this fold, which is good. That is what you want. What'll happen is this fold will get buried. And when the water comes up and is inside this fold, the dry material on this side and the wet on that side will cause the water to wick up and out. And you can lose tons and tons of water this way. It's actually the reason why in some areas of the bog, we have our liner pulled straight up against these rocks on either side, because if we had folds, it would just wick completely when the water's high back here. And that is not what you want. Those leaks are really, really difficult to find. So you can see here, if this is all covered in gravel, you don't really have to worry about it. But any place where there's a fold and there's dry on one side and wet on the other, these wicking leaks can happen. So what I recommend doing is walking the perimeter of your pond. Just walk around. And spring is great because after winter and everything, like, there's always a little exposed liner from mulch wearing away and things you're gonna have to want to repair anyway. And this is a great time to just look for wet spots, anything that seems out of place, and any place where there's folds and that you may remember from when you built your pond as a low spot is where you're gonna want to check. And that's not to say you can't get wicking leaks at higher spots, like where my friend the bullfrog is right here. But it's much more rare. You want to look for low spots and folds in your liner. And just check the evaporation. And if you're finding that you need to top up your pond every day or two, you definitely have a leak somewhere. If you're finding you need to top up your pond once a week or so, you know, it's probably just seasonal evaporation. Measure it and check the edges.